Hey, welcome everyone, Pat Mitchell here, and today I want to show you exactly how to maximize a position in options to its full potential. So one of the positions that I just recently took was on Disney. Now, Disney's been a stock that's been trending up ever since it kind of crashed out. It just keeps putting in higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. And the way it was setting up last week was the previous week, it just flatlined. It consolidated. It consolidated in a really tight range for 4 days in a row. So then from there, on Monday, I looked for it to either gap up or gap down, looking for either a breakout or a breakdown. Now, I always position myself in a way that I can hit a long or a short every day. No matter what trade plan I have for any stock, any position, any trade I'm looking at, I always look either long or short. That way I'm prepared. That it doesn't matter what the market does. If the market wants to freak out and sell off or freak out and break out, I'm there and I'm ready. So on Disney, ended up being a really good trade, and it gapped up. Now, instead of just taking it as an intraday trade, a day trade, which that's mainly what I do. I probably 19 times out of 20, I'm taking a day trade. I am flat by the end of the day. I don't like holding overnight. I don't like holding positions for long term. That's part of my strategy. It's a very consistent way. It's a way that it's really hard to get damaged through big gap ups or gap downs. But on Disney, I saw what I needed in order to take the swing, and rode it out pretty much all week. And it was a really nice trade. So what I want to do with you today, guys, is I'm going to show you my entries. I'm going to play back a chart of the action, of live action as it was happening and coming into that level. And then we're going to discuss a little bit about the trade and some of the factors and things that I'm looking at for myself to hold either overnight or for multiple days. So if you're interested in day trading options, I have a brand new course. It's called Boss Carbon. This has over an hour of live trading going on in it, plus a full guide, A to Z. Beginner, intermediate, novice, professional, it doesn't matter. Whoever is interested in options, I'm telling you, this is a grand way to day trade options, and it's available right now at a 20% discount for a limited time. So go check that out at tricktrades.com. So let's get into the charts and let's dissect this trade. So on Disney here, you can see the daily chart was looking really good. This was the day in question, okay? So it consolidated, like I said, for these 4 days, couldn't break out of this range. So this was a Monday morning, and I was only looking for a breakout or a breakdown of this support and resistance, okay? So what did it do? It gapped up a little bit, just slightly, like super slight, but it was hugging the highs of this range. Okay, so now in ranges, you have highs and you have lows. So let me just kind of clear that up for you. So it opens up in the morning and it's hugging these highs. So what I'm looking for is a dip down to support, and I was going to use the 102 support. Now that is, so it opened up basically there. So I used that first little dip. Do you see that little tit there, the wick of that candle? I used that and it got sucked right up. Now I want to show you, I'm going to play for you the live action of that day, so then you can get a pretty good sense as to how it opened up. Now this yellow level here is the 102 support. So I'm going to press play and let the trade kind of run out and show you. So you see how it really dipped down there and then got sucked right back up? Right there is where I entered, and I ended up averaging into a position 3 times. I took 3 entries there. and then it just ramped all day. So I want to speed this up. So with this action, once it broke out of this area, it really started going. It really started giving her bullets. So I paid myself along the way. This was my last exit right in here. And then that's where I really decided to hold overnight, because it gave me so much distance that these are multiple points that I wasn't overly concerned that I would be stopped out. Or even if I was, I had already paid myself out and taken partials all the way up. And now on this gap up, I want to show you guys something, because it's going to gap up here. Okay, it opens up, pops into that 110. I'm going to pause that here. Do you see this 110? Now, that was an area. I took a partial, my last partial for the next day or so, right at this 110. Now, why did I choose 110? 110 was a very specific area I was watching for it to top. Now, like I said, I always come up with either a long or a short. Now, that's intraday, but overall on swings too, I'm looking for short areas. So if you miss the long, I don't want members or anybody chasing. You don't chase these, you wait for it to top out, and then you can simply short. And that was the call right at Tricktrades. In chat was the 110, and members caught that short. They waited for the push in the morning into that. They didn't chase along. They didn't buy first candle to break a new high, the break of pre-market highs. They didn't do any of that nonsense. They waited like professionals coming into the level and shorted it back and did very well intraday on this trade. So let me get rid of this. Now I want to show you guys my entries on that trade. So this is an options trade. This is the 102 calls. My average was 213, and my best sell for the day was in the 320s. Now, I ended up taking off this trade a few days later at 820 by 9. That was the spread at the moment I peeled out. So I got filled, it was somewhere in the 840s, so I made 300-400% on this trade, okay? Now think of the potential. The last little bit, I had 5 contracts left, okay? So these are my entries, right? And then I just paid myself along the way, had to average into the position to get the position size I needed. But with that said, those last 5 contracts that I held, they were worth over $3,000. 5 contracts. So when people say that you can't make good money or you need a big account trading options, that's nothing but bullshit. It straight up is nonsense and bullshit. It's because they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know how to show people how to make money like that or how to take trades like that. And it's something that we do every day, but I want to show you and kind of give you some other thoughts and ideas as to exactly what I was doing here. So like I said, once it broke out and it held, when you see the potential of a chart, because look at these dips, okay? So it dips down, it pops up, dips down, it pops up, it dips down. Now, what's the next part? It pops up. Now, does it only pop up for one day? Every time it dips, how many days does it pop up for? 3 days, roughly, right? So we've got a good 3 days of action to scoop, okay? Now with this, now I want to tell you where I think this stock's going to head. So I do think that, I'm going to get rid of these. I do think, we were watching this yesterday, I held overnight, I held over the weekend. Some members stopped out, just depending on their risk tolerance. This 104.86 was the level that I wanted to watch, and yes, it did break intraday, but it is just flagging back. Do you see how it's a nice controlled flag down to the moving averages and down to this support? This is a sneaky little level that I'm watching here, at 104.86. Now, go into the intraday. It did break that, and it broke that by 20 cents or so. So didn't break over our standard risk, 40 cents. So standard risk should have kept you into the trade, and it did myself. It kept me in the trade. It ended up remounting that and then closed well above. It closed, we don't have much distance. We got about 80 cents of distance here, and I was kind of hoping for it to break above these highs, okay? I was hoping for it to break above these highs, but that's fine. We had one more pullback on the day. It's a beautiful bull flag. This is just flagging very, very nicely. So I am expecting Monday or Tuesday, it might pull back a little bit more, that's fine, but I am expecting this to hold and then pop up. So I want to talk to you guys now about really maximizing that potential. When you're in a day trade, okay, when you're in a day trade and you are still in the position and you've got a load of distance, you got a bunch of distance on the trade, why are you taking it off? Number one, the very first thing you should do, if you haven't done already, which you absolutely should have, was check the daily chart. Check that daily chart. Does the daily chart look like it's just coming out of a dip? Does it look like it's just breaking out? And does it look like it just filled a gap? Those few things, and at a very quick glance on the daily chart, can save you thousands and thousands of missed gains on missed opportunity. Check the daily chart. It's another thing too, you shouldn't be shorting stuff because of a potential, it's at a breakout and it's already broke out, and then people are trying to short these tops, constantly picking tops, picking tops, picking tops. You see it on social media all the time. All these fucking knuckleheads, they constantly are just like shorting shit because it's up, right? It's a bunch of young kids that don't know what the fuck they're doing that are shorting shit because it's up. And that is a surefire way to absolutely get your accounts decimated. On that note, folks, I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. And make sure to go check out Boss Carbon. It's great. Over an hour of live trading. Adios, folks.